There were no signs. It came without warning. Doom came to
Hello. How are you, everybody? So I'm alone today. Mr. Pope is off. He's going to be back next week while I'm going to be on vacation. And in 2 weeks, we're going to be both of us together for Mr. Pope's last stream. I know I was reading the chat just before getting on. I know people are sad, but Eric is, so I'm going to go on and read the little narrative. It is time to battle Grimson the Deathless and learn all about his strange story. So this weekend is a Brawl Vanquisher Challenge up until March 4th. On the 2nd of March, it's Year 3, Season 1, Campaign 3. Hey, you're following me? So we are back with Mr. Stefan Jawinski. He found his way to the basement of the building.
It's a maze down here, right?
I was getting, yeah, it's a maze. We got a bunch of questions. Sometimes there's a name, but many people ask the same question.
Sure.
Was the recent buff to dodge iframes intended?
No. This was...
Second question. No.
Perfect.
You want to give more background on that?
We don't have super amount of details that we want to do. Obviously, we're not fans of trying to nerf offense at this point. We've been doing concerted efforts over the last year to try to increase offense. And here we're saying, hey, suddenly dodges are beating a bunch of bashes that we're not expecting based on a later timing. So
okay.
We're investigating. We'll try to figure out what to do next.
So it was not.
Right.
Some characters have instant startup of their blocks when they dodge. These are Kensei, Conqueror, Blackbriar, and Chindi. This allows them to reaction block some 400 milliseconds attacks from neutral and negate mix-ups like PK's daggers cancel. Still following up there? Do you intend to remove this 0 millisecond startup on a defensive move and standardize it to 100 milliseconds like all other guard switches?
Yes, this is something we're investigating right now. Most people end up either dodging on the same side as they do, or if you're an assassin, there's a 100 MS hole before you get the deflect defense grid.
So there's still, third question. There's still a 200 milliseconds delay between switching guards and attacking GB for static guard characters, and it makes attacking after fainting far worse. I'm trying to do some acting here. For static guard characters. Is this intentional, Stefan? And can it be removed, please?
Yes to both, actually.
It is intentional and it will be removed?
Yes. So right now, assassins, you can go 100 MS over and then attack. Regular heroes do have 100 over, you get block, then 200 after that, so 300 in total. Then you can attack. There is a stance change attack, which is getting a bit nebulous.
Blackbriar has the old guard switch recovery that prevents dodging for 300 milliseconds after a guard switch. This was originally removed for static guard heroes in Season 6. Will it be removed for Blackbriar as well?
Yes, so Blackbriar will be another character that will follow the rules. Everyone will be the same 100 MS on the stance change, get defense. 100 MS on the stance change and perform your actions. This is what we want across the board globally. Blackbriar suffered
In fact, many characters' offense can be avoided by faster characters merely walking backwards, and many more by unlock sprinting. Are the devs looking at any ways to limit the ability of characters to avoid offense with spacing, at least in duel mode?
Yes, there's also unlock rolling, which can be a problem. There are a number of ways, these 3 ways basically, principally, that allow you to avoid mix-ups or initiation and so on. You can imagine if you're Aramusha and your forward walk speed is super slow versus a Shinobi who has a back strafe speed that's super high, it's going to be very difficult to close this gap. Certain characters do have gap closers, but when there's only one thing that the opponent can do to you, it can be very predictable. What we want to do is look at globally creating upper and lower bounds to standardize certain things like forward strafe speed should be presumably a minimum of X. Backward strafe speed should be presumably a minimum of X minus whatever, 1. Unlock. There's a lot of shuffle dancing right now we see people playing where, there's a...
So, next questions. Several characters are doing far better in the balanced matrices we've been shown than might be expected. Aramusha is one of these, and you love Aramusha, as is JJ. To what extent is this party down to raw damage numbers? JJ and Hara, I love like when they talk about a character with like nicknames. JJ and Hara.
Zerk. Conk.
Exactly. Both have very highly damaging attacks, even if they are not considered particularly potent at the top end of play.
Okay, so the question being like, do we think that Aramusha and Zhang are strong because they're straight up doing big damage on their hits? I think that's partially the reason when you look at full population win matrices on duel, platinum and above players in duel. Zhang up there, Aramusha's reasonably up there. So you can see those kind of things bubble to the top. Can't say in full population as well, who's doing 20 damage lights.
Next question. Would it not be better to nerf crowd control moves like Stampede Charge and Sickle Rain and compensating the hero with a different buff instead of just waiting until the hero gets reworked?
So...
Good answer, Stefan.
What part do I want to go with at a time? So, okay, so generally what's happening with crowd control moves, right? Like, we have seen in year 1, season 3 and 4, Highlander ended up with Caber Toss that can be interrupted at any time on hit. Shaman in season 4 released with Predator's Mercy that can be interrupted anytime on hit. And we've seen slowly over time stuff like Shigoki Hug is now interruptible on hit during the hug portion.
So next question. Will Glaz unnaturally short guard duration ever be buffed?
So we are experimenting with this right now. Gladiator has a reflex guard like the Assassins. Most Assassins have an 1100 MS period, 0 to 100, no block, and then 1000 of block time, and then it decays. Shinobi and Gladiator have shorter ones with, I think Shinobi launched with more or less Gladiator timings, I think a little longer. I want to say 600, and then got extended. I don't see any reason why they can't all be the full timing as any reflex guard.
Next one. It's great to hear that you're nerfing revenge gain in 1v1s, but obviously, like there's a compliment, then there's a question. Wouldn't it be better to just cap revenge gain to 80% in 1v1s and have that cap be removed when another enemy attacks? Because no revenge gain in 1v1s would suck when you duel someone on you. Both are at near death, but then his ally comes and finishes you off quickly.
So, what are we talking about for revenge? Revenge gain, right now, you gain it in 1v1s on life. We want to make it so that in 4v4s, in one-on-one, or I'm outnumbering you scenarios, I do not get revenge. And the reason for that, especially if I'm outnumbering you, seems obvious, I think. If it's one-on-one, we feel that it should be about your fight and feat kits that determine who is the outcome or the victor in this. What we don't want is, even in 1v1, let's say you went to 80% of of your revenge meter, right? In a 101 and then a capped. So, okay, that's a little hard to feedback, but whatever. Let's skip that part. Luke then rolls up to my 1-on-1 and hits my opponent.
I do that.
Right? And if he's at 80%, probably now he's at 100% or close to 100%. So Luke has done 1 or 2 hits and has basically screwed up the 1v1 fight because now the other person has revenge and we're in trouble.
I do that as well.
So it's easy to make this happen, right?
So next one. Will you give Orochi and PK some sort of unblockable or bash, preferably unblockable, so that they are actually useful in ganks?
So, in ganks.
That's what it says.
Yeah, awesome.
I'm reading the questions. I'm the voice of the people. I told you.
Well, I don't want to be the voice against the people. Damn. So what's important here? When you're an external combatant, what is happening is that the person you are fighting can block on the side that you are fighting from, and that will block 100% of light attack, heavy attacks, regular directional attacks. So yes, it's maybe not a good idea to throw those into the person. Unblockables are a little better because at least they have to parry or dodge. Bashes are even stronger because the person has to dodge. Guard breaks are also quite strong because even if they counter guard break, the other person that you're ganking with can attack in that amount of time.
But the real question is, do you think that those tiers are a lot closer than before rather than what we had in year 1 and 2?
Year 1 and 2. Okay.
We're in year 3 now.
Yes. Oh, thank you.
Just,
yeah. I saw your little, what year is this thing at the beginning? 2000 something.
Nah, someone messed with me.
Okay, so let's start at the end of the question and work our way backwards.
Because that is the real question.
That's a real question.
So 3 questions left. And next one, it says, reduce parry reward question mark. You talked about reducing the reward of a light parry to not be a free side heavy and still want to go in that direction? Perhaps if you buff the overall damage of most attacks, light, heavy, chip damage, little, chip damage, then alongside the parry change would surely speed up the turtly feel of the game. Make it feel more lethal and visceral, like combat should feel like.
So I can kind of agree with that. I'm kind of still on the fence about that. So, I mean, the benefit right now is that if you parry a heavy, you get generally a light. This shifts a little bit for different characters, but let's say a light. And if you parry a light, you get a heavy. So assuming we end up in a world where landing a light is, say, like every 3 times you get parried, then we're in a good state because you'll be doing roughly the amount of damage punishment for being parried, which is good in trying to help offense. However, it's not that good because it just, in my opinion, will make time to kill longer. Without making the actual risk of throwing the light attack any better than it is today. So I feel like you're going to be parried and blocked just as often as you are today, but now it has to happen a few more times before they kill you.
Okay.
So I think what would be better is if these lights were a little bit more viable than they are today, so that, yes, when you parry, you punish it strong, but they hit a little more often than they do today, so they're getting their little bit of damage in over the course of the fight. I think that would be the healthiest for offense being good, but then still for punishment being interesting in that high-level players understand maximum punish versus a heavy attack, maximum punish versus light attack, maximum punish when they go out of stamina, maximum punish when you grab them and get to throw them and stuff like that. So that knowledge creates some depth. So we want to retain that if we can.
Next one. Will that mechanism be introduced where you don't lose stamina during OOS when being bashed?
Out of stamina.
Out of stamina. Acronyms. TLA, 3 letters acronym.
We are actively working on this thing. Obviously, can't tell you time as to when that happens because I'm never right on my promises on time, so I don't make them if I can. But yes, basically what is happening, or what we would like to happen, is if you are out of stamina and you get hit by a melee attack that would drain your stamina, it would not drain your stamina. Maybe it would just pause it, freeze it for X amount of time, that kind of stuff. Basically, the overall intention is that the time that you spend out of stamina ends up in some reasonable portion and not infinitely into a, oh, you got bashed and then hit, and you never get to regain your stamina. So it should reduce frustration. We obviously still want to allow for putting an opponent out of stamina is a bad situation for them and a hugely beneficial situation for you. And it's about finding that threshold of not guaranteed kill or not the guy is stuck there forever out of stamina. That's what it's for. It went out, pieces of it went out a little too early. That's why it's not out today. It's about trying to find all the cases like Raider Stunning Tap, which sets you to a value which is a little odd. It sets you to 20. It doesn't drain you to 20. It doesn't drain you by 20. It sets you to 20.
Is guard break duration normalized across the board? By guard break duration, I mean the time between guard breaking someone and starting the attack, and the opponent being able to block it. By changing that duration per character, it would be possible to add or remove some guard break punishes without affecting actual attack speed of the character and vice versa. And
right now, it is mostly standardized across the board. Everybody has, once they start an attack, an 800 MS window to land an attack. This is why you're seeing stuff like Warden Side Heavy, which is 800 MS, is you're going to get it when you guard break someone and you throw that attack. That is the same for every character, I believe, except Aramusha, who has a slightly shorter one. I want to say 6 or 7, 6, I think, which allows you heavy as well, but because of the duration, you have to pick the side correctly. So, could it be longer on Aramusha to be fully standardized? Everybody gets 800? Yes, but then it would give the other heavy as well. So that's something to consider when we take a look at this. At the same time, if we're talking about lengthening it for certain heroes to get bigger punishes, maybe that should be the question, is like, why, if I'm Highlander, do I want to get more than either my zone first hit that I have to cancel or my lights to give me more damage, or, yeah, Raider without a wall or whatever? That's a question that I think is more interesting on a per-character basis. Because it, again, is interesting to try to find that depth of what do I get on guard break, what do I get on wall splat, what do I get on out-of-stamina throw. And that difference allows us to vary the characters a little bit better than I think.
Oh. And For Honor, baby!
Hell yeah!